please save our soul so that this community will not become things of history, so that it will not go into extinction.
Person not see money to be house. The small one born and baby manage the pit, see go scatter.
The federal government should intervene. Doing nothing is not an option. We don't even have where to relocate them to. So relocating, and it's not just Ayetoro, we're talking about over 100 communities and family settlements and fishing settlements along the coastline of Ondo State. Where do you move them to?
More than 100 settlements are under siege. They are gradually fading into the history books. The ocean was their friend, but now it seems it has a score to settle. Once landlords and ardent spiritualists, now ocean refugees, displaced from their homes, schools and church. This is Ayetoro, in Ilaje local government area of Ondo State, the one-time happy city. Ondo State has 18 local governments, but Ilaje is the only local government in Ondo State that produces crude oil. There are about 300 communities clustered along the coastal region of Ilaje, made up of the kingdoms of Ugbo, Mahi, Etika, and Aheri. Many of the towns in the Mahi kingdom are on land, while the remaining towns and villages are spread in the swampy areas and beaches of the Atlantic Ocean.
That is our jetty over there. Now it is difficult for us to get to the jetty now because of the devastation effect of the sea incoction. That is the technical school situated beside the jetty. It has been enclosed by the sea. We sleep where we see. We are appealing to the federal government and all other relevant agencies to please, for crying out loud, to come to our aid. We don't have anywhere to go. This is our land.
From outside, the densely populated community looks like any other riverine community along Nigeria's coastline. The weather seemed friendly, the streets almost dry from the latest disaster. When you walk into the community, you realize how difficult life is for residents in Ayetoro. It's 2 p.m. Most of them are yet to have the first meal of the day. All they can do is catch some sleep before the next disaster hits.
Many houses have been destroyed. If my memory will not fail me, over 500 houses have been destroyed. Businesses, economic activities have been paralyzed. People are now relocating en masse to upland because of the devastation.
For close to 2 decades, the Ilaje people have waited for the construction of a shoreline protective wall. They are still waiting, this time with pain, loss, confusion, and hopelessness etched in their hearts.
Ospadek was created to manage the 40% of the 13% derivation, oil derivation to the states. The resources available to the states and the Commission is quite limited and inadequate to cater for sea incursion that is threatening the lives of the entire race, not just one community. I'm talking of the entire coastline under threats of extinction. And every year if nothing is done in the next 3 years, most communities will be wiped off the history. As a commission can only intervene within the available resources. And sea incursion is now one of the things the commission fund can confer. That is why we're crying to the world, we're crying to the federal government, to NEMA, humanitarian services, because the effect of the sea incursion is making life unbearable. The water becomes unhygienic and the means of livelihood of the people threatened on a daily basis. The shoreline protection contract was awarded in 2004 by NDDC. Mobilization was paid, nothing was done. Re-awarded in 2009, mobilization paid, and nothing has been done.
The city, which was built in the 1940s, about 15 to 20 kilometers away from the seas, is turning into a ghost town. Their rich history as a community that successfully practiced communism in West Africa, gone with the wind.
When you look at the situation of the sea now, the waves, most times when we see it this way, it's as high as 7-8 feet high. And we have the low tide and the high tide. As it stands now, we're experiencing high tide. So it's higher than, in fact, in the next 1 hour now, we might not be able to stand where we are standing now, because it must have been higher than this one. That's the, yes, 7-8 feet high. Anything from 7 p.m. down, then the sea will be quiet and calm. Then we can move, even with canoe, we can move inside. But as it is now, we cannot do anything to it.
From one street to another, the destruction stares you in the face, bringing you closer to the raging sea. Endless cry from these residents in Ayetoro, a riverine community in Ondo State, is yet to get the attention of relevant authorities. While the government looks away, the community is gradually fading into the history books, with thousands already displaced by the ocean surge. These young men make boats for other communities, but overnight, they are left with scraps as they try to pick up the pieces. Just beside them are women and their children, unsure of what the next move will be.
Few days ago, the tide came and destroyed everything. I haven't eaten since morning. I have been crying. We are asking the government and the international community to help us. The waters have destroyed everything in the surrounding area. About 12 houses on each side have been destroyed by the tides. It is really painful. It has ravaged everything from here to Ayetoro. We are pleading. All our property has been destroyed. The federal government should help us. Our business is at a standstill. We can't roast crayfish again. The sea destroyed my kitchen. Now there is no money to send my children to school. The sea made us leave our home. We have lost everything, nothing to eat or drink. Since yesterday, we have been trying to save ourselves from the sea. We don't want to die. The government should help us. They should not allow the sea to take our children.
The tide is high. It's a race against time for residents of Ayetoro. What can they save? Where will they go with their families? It's difficult for most of them to dismantle buildings they erected with love and sweat. But if they don't, the sea that was once their friend will destroy the buildings and take the lands as its own. Another woman takes me to the mouth of the sea. She tells me most of them have not eaten. They're struggling to reclaim the remnant of their shelter from the sea.
The sea incursion started again in the afternoon, destroying everything in the town. See, the tide is coming.
Out of fear, we took to our heels.
When we saw the sea approaching, all of us started running for safety. We also had to save our property, hopes the building materials can be used to rebuild shelter. Upland, enough for families. That's my house over there. It's already submerged in the sea. Lots of houses have been destroyed. The government should please help us. We seek the assistance of all relevant agencies.
Wherever the river current runs through, there you will find the Ilajes. A sea of abandoned stilts, struggling to stay above the waters. This is all that's left of Bagira, another community along the coastline in Ondo State. Here, we meet a few residents removing roofing sheets, asbestos, planks and whatever would be useful for their next move. Whatever they can't travel with, they look for a way to trade it.
The flood has been destroying our land since 2015. It destroyed Messi. Now it has gotten to Bagira. Please come to our rescue. A lot of people have fled to other states and communities. We are calling on indigenes of Ilaje in the diaspora to help. We also ask the federal government to come to our rescue. We do not have houses anymore, and we do not have money to rebuild. Please help us.
Please attend to us. The water has flooded our lands. We do not have money to cater for our children, no money to attend to our daily needs. All our businesses have been destroyed. Please, we are begging you, help us attend to this ocean surge. We don't know what to do. 4 of my buildings are collapsing at the moment. I have now become a tenant.
Person go money go buy sink to a big house. Maybe they buy the sink 2,000. Now one sink now, maybe na plank now 5,000. Person no see money, no work, no job. My house, our house, my house, 2 house, my brother 4 house. Me na one bid because I never for me say all don't scatter. The Bagira own 2. It is a sinner.
It is foggy and visibility isn't at its best if you want to travel on water. Locating other communities like Messi and parts of Awoye is impossible. We had to turn back for safety. From afar, we can easily map out an oil platform, evidence of the oil exploration in this local government. Before the oil spill, communities in Ilaje local government had no access to clean water. They had relied on the river for their water source. Now, the oil spillage makes the situation worse. In Awoye, a thriving fishing community is shrinking. Justina Ashogboy is one of the many women in this community thriving in the fish business. She goes out to the sea as early as 5 a.m. to get an early catch, but returns with this bucket of fish, disappointment and fatigue written all over her.
The sea incursion is affecting everything, and this is not the kind of catch I would have brought home. I have been on the sea since morning trying to get more fish, but this is all I could get. The impact of the ocean surge has disrupted our businesses. Because of the rising tide, we now spend more hours on the sea. Now we have to wait for the tide to be friendly before we return to shore. Sometimes we have to drive through the turbulent tide, and when we do, we sustain injuries.
It gets worse. After they go through a tumultuous sea, there is no health facility to go for treatment. Particularly, it's difficult for pregnant women.
Osupadek was created for transform the lives of the people, total prosperity and environmental sustainability. But with the situation at hand, as a result of oil exploitation and exploration, is pathetic, principally threatening the lives of the people, stretching along 88 kilometers of the coastline of Ondo State, with over 100 communities likely to go into the bin of history if nothing is done, and done very fast too.
Due to the scarcity of clean and safe sources of water in coastal communities, the residents now pay a lot of money to get water, while those without money travel several kilometers to get clean water for domestic use. If you can't travel that far, you're left with polluted water.
I'm here in the morning. People plenty. So I don't see water wey I wan take bath. Even yesterday sef, when I wan take my bath, e reach 7 o'clock in the evening when I see water. We dey drink am, see the water, even see the colour, where the colour be. Even e get germs sef, the water. The water get germs, so e no good. This is the water wey we dey drink for here. Yes, we drink it like this now. Yes. Nothing, not like this. Let me show you sef. Yes, because we know there's no water now. If we get water now, we no go use this one. There's no water here. That is why we drink am.
While these communities battle sea incursion and loss of shelter, they are faced with poor sanitation practices, poor location of facilities like toilets and their homes. The contamination of water sources in oil-producing communities exposed them to cholera, typhoid, malaria, and dysentery. Here, they know these problems exist, but that's life for them.
Water we are drinking here is not used for women being to bath. We are managing it. No employment from oil companies. We are suffering. We need water. Yes. We need this our public toilet. We need jetty. We also want them to look to our schools, both primary and secondary schools. Our seesaw, everything is not in order.
Limited access to healthcare is one of many nightmares these riverine communities face.
It is not the only place affected by the sea incursion. We understand that the health facility is also affected by the same thing. If you take a look at what we see here, the health facility is also trying to save the facility from the sea, which is what you see right here. You see the planks that have been used to stop the water from getting to the facility. And then if you take a look at what is going on here, even the plank is not really strong for patients who want to come into the facility. So if you take a look at what is happening here, they have used sand and anything they can find to ensure and stop the sea from getting into the facility.
Inside the facility, only one health worker is on call. She tells me the primary health center gets a monthly stipend of 30,000 naira to buy drugs, but the money is insufficient. She's hoping her visit to the facility will present new opportunities and possible enrollment in the healthcare system.
Since 2011, and since all these days, they are telling us that we are employing people since others should be endure pending to this time. So there is no employment, there is anything, just only our heads. Miss Odola is the only permanent staff that is here since that time.
Buried and almost forgotten, the Molotei primary and comprehensive schools hidden behind weeds. A creaking and shaky walkway leads you to its uncharming structure. Not just the ceilings, the whole school is falling apart.
Our classroom have been, even the school have been dilapidated because some flooring is no more in use, most especially just one and other classes. The principal and the VP's office is no more in use. So the planks have been damaged somehow, as you can see. So, and I want the government to intervene, to assist, because the community don't have the ability to do it themselves. At times, students will not come, only through the exam. Or during the promotion exam, they will just rush in, and at times they could go back. So, due to the environment and the structure of this, we don't have toilets. The toilet is no good. Even some male students cannot go there during the school period.
At the entrance of Oroto community, we see a shelled block of classrooms. School is out of session, but the children still find their way back to the dilapidated school. It's their favorite hangout spot. But when the school is in session, there are no classrooms to accommodate the children. Most of them travel for about 45 minutes to access education.
There are students but no teachers. We have only one teacher. Sometimes he comes to school. Other times we don't see him. We sit on the floor most times. That's why I do not come to school. The sea incursion affects us all the time. The government should give us teachers and make our school conducive and beautiful.
According to the city population, Ilaje local government area of Ondo State was projected to have a population of 445,200 in 2022, and that's up from 289,838 number in the 2006 population census. We are in Mahin Kingdom. From the irregular jetty, you can guess that all is not well with the riverine communities along the riverbank. As the boat leaves the shore, the water changed. Evidence of heavy metals and some other contaminants are buried in the ocean, waiting to resurface when a boat sails across. This is a climate change crisis on our hands. The landmass in Ondo State is shrinking. Our first stop is Abereke, an ancient town established about 200 years ago. According to locals, the densely populated fishing and farming community has about 200,000 people who are adversely affected by oil spillage and the sea incursion.
Water flooding and sea incursion in Abereke more than 50 years ago. Since oil company have come to Ilaje, since then we have been experiencing this water flooding and sea incursion.
Already, almost half of the community is underwater.
In 2011, we wrote a petition to Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, which ordered several Nigeria Limited and Corn Oil to extend developer project to Abereke community. The developer project we propose is that they should come and do the sampling of this community and see embankment. They should provide works for our youths.
The sea incursion has separated a community that was once united. Since there is no standard health facility, school or employment for the youths, residents have to travel for more than 30 kilometers to get whatever is needed. Commuting is difficult here. You have to wait for a high tide to dock at most jetties.
The sea incursion broke our community into two. There were houses in this area before. Since we experience ocean surges regularly, a lot of people have moved to other locations.
The residents are asking the government to construct a road that will help them access medical care and potable water in Ereke and Igbokoda. In Ogogoro, the sea gradually encroaches on the land, taking the people's livelihoods and rendering them homeless. Climate change has accelerated riverbank erosion and bank failure, with towns and villages along the coastline disappearing. Here there is no potable water. Residents spend about 10,000 naira on transportation to ship goods or buy water from Igbokoda, a community about 32 kilometers away. When water is shipped down to the community in containers, they now buy it for 500 naira, or they just wait for the skies to pour.
Kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan méjì tó fà á. Inú òkun wa yìí ó ti bà gbogbo eré àtàwà yìí ó ti bàjẹ́. So little omi tá a máa ń rí lò tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ inú òkun ti bà gbogbo ẹ̀ jẹ́.
We suffer a lot in this community, especially with drinking water. Sometimes we travel as far as Igbokoda to buy sachet water. There is no other reason for this than the ocean. It has destroyed the community and the water we are managing. We are glad you have come to see us here. We have heard of your exploits in other communities. We plead with you to come to our aid as well. We don't have a health facility here. The school we had was inadequate. The school we currently have was donated. We really tried. However, we don't have any health facility. Kindly help look into this.
After the sea calmed, the people, young and old, moved to the banks of Ramashilo in search of periwinkles. Since fishing It's difficult. They get their hands and feet dirty in search of what to eat.
Bí church Zion ni.
We all go to church to pray for our needs. We don't have good roads, potable water, toilet facilities, and even health centers. We buy water at high prices, and in case of medical emergencies, you have to go as far as Igbokoda and other places to get treatments. You have not benefited from the government. Our land and water have been contaminated. We appeal to the government to come to our aid. Satisfied with our location here, but we need help. Our major occupation is fishing and trading. The water has covered almost everywhere. We can't hold our programs or go to church.
Located on the west of Ilaje coastline is the Jigiti Pentecostal Church of Christ, a safe haven for residents in Ramashilo. This community was founded by spiritualist St. Michael Balogun, but people seem to have forgotten what was once important to them: worship to their Maker. With difficulty, 65-year-old Primate Sama waded through the slippery mud just to take us to church. Primate Sama enters an empty church. He is worried about what will come next for his people, because already the church in Ramashilo will soon be taken by the raging sea. These communities are hanging onto the last thread of hope.